Hello and welcome back to the Masonic Roundtable, a weekly program where Masons from around the world get together to talk about Masonic news and opinions in a friendly and social manner. The standard disclaimer applies. The thoughts and opinions expressed here are solely the opinions of the participants and do not represent any Grand Lodge statements or positions. Make sure you keep your conversations open for the public and on the level. Let's see, to interact with us, send questions and comments to our Facebook feed, which is episode 167. This is how I chisel. My name is John Ruark, past master of the Patriot Lodge, number 1957, in Fairfax, Virginia. I'll hand it off to Robert Johnson in the Mobile Masonic Command.
Hey guys, RJ here. Of course, as John said, coming home from a good old district deputy meeting. I am a past master of Waukegan Lodge number 78 and current secretary. Thanks.
Hey, Robert, is that a one-year term?
What, DDGM?
Yeah.
It's a term as long as I want.
So a 6-month term then.
It's a minimum 1 year.
Okay, got it. All right. You do you. Good. Juan Sepulveda.
Good evening, everybody. Juan Sepulveda here from Orange Blossom Lodge number 80 in sunny Kissimmee, Florida, and the host of the Winding Stairs Freemasonry podcast.
Thank you, Juan. Last but not least, Jason Richards.
Hey, everybody. Jason Richards here with you tonight. Let's see. What am I? I am a member of the Colonial Lodge number 1821 in the District of Columbia and also current sitting master of Acacia Lodge number 16 in good old Clifton, Virginia.
Do you know what else you are?
Late for dinner?
1 year older today.
1 year older today, and I'm still the youngest person on the show.
No matter how hard you try to catch up.
I'm doing my damnedest.
Happy birthday.
It hasn't worked yet in 3.5 years.
Sounds like you had a rough day at work today, but we love you just the same. So happy birthday.
Work sucks. It's all right. I have people from work who are actually like probably watching the show right now. So they're like,
oh, how dare they?
Anyway.
Cheers. Happy
I'm
birthday.
glad to be here tonight with all of you.
You want to wish Jason a happy birthday, you can see him in 4 weeks from today at our TMR celebration of the 300th anniversary of organized Freemasonry. Go over to themasonic.roundtable.com/300. Get your ticket to celebrate, what was it, 300 years of Freemasonry, from 1717 to 2017-ish.
Ish.
We've got some great stuff lined up, some good vendors that are going to be there, so make sure you go and bring money, because there's a lot of good stuff to buy. And as a reminder for those who haven't listened last week, we have a new addition to the agenda. Go make sure you check out /300 to always get the latest agenda. The new thing is Friday night, we'll be having a private tour of the Scottish Rite House of the Temple. So if you just show up between 2 to 5 p.m., we'll be there. We'll have a nice brotherly Masonic tour, and we'll have pizza afterwards. So we'll see you then.
It'll be great. You're not going to want to miss it.
And if you do, wait another 300 years.
And don't wish me happy birthday at the 300th. That'll just be awkward. Forget John said that.
I'll wish you 300. Okay, next topic. We have from Masonic News, when the profane world protects the treasures we toss. This is a link to, of course, Christopher Hodap's blog, based on a listing in Little Falls, New York. That is a real estate listing of a Masonic lodge that's for sale. But this is no ordinary Masonic lodge. It's a Masonic lodge that has since been turned into a bed and breakfast kind of thing, with the lodge room itself on the 3rd floor is mostly intact, but other rooms have been turned into kitchens and bedrooms and that kind of thing. What's interesting from a Masonic News perspective is, for a low price of $325,000, you too could live in your very own Masonic lodge. It's interesting. It got passed around on Facebook as just a really neat idea. Like, it'd be kind of cool to have like your own Masonic lodge house. What do you guys think? Would you live in one of these? Juan?
Oh, heck yeah. My wife would have nothing to do with it. She'll bring the boys over to visit.
That's true.
I can turn the chamber of reflection into my kid's bedroom.
Now this is interesting. Now, just a crazy idea. If you own the property outright, could you have, depending on insurance and everything on the up and up, could you actually have one of your lodges meet at your house?
Sure.
Yeah,
I mean, you'd have to get dispensation for it.
That's exactly it. Dispensation, and you're good.
No, I don't want dispensation. I want this written into bylaws. That is the permanent location of that lodge, so I can just go downstairs and go to bed afterwards.
Why not? It works for churches.
That's true.
Yeah, there you go.
Very cool. Oh, and last thing that we forgot to mention last week was this weekend was celebrating the craft. We did a big deal last year about
It's okay. The Scottish Rite forgot to mention it too.
Apparently,
You hear about it.
yeah. It didn't really pop up on my Facebook feeds or anything, to be honest.
But that's because we do nothing about Masonry online. So
No.
it's understandable that we saw nothing about it.
It's a secret.
Yeah.
So honestly, it took me forever to even get to the feed
Why is that, Jason?
because I just Googled celebrating the craft, and like the first like 7 or 8 links were directly linking to previous year's feeds, which of course are no longer operational on the website. So it was just very difficult to even figure out where to go to access CTC this year. It was really weird.
The only thing you could do was to go to the actual Scottish Rite Southern Jurisdiction website. And to your guys' point, it was literally, like, I love CTC. And I mean, I don't know how appropriate this is. I pimped the crap out of CTC last year. I love the mission. I love saving the temple. And I went so far as to, try to like push, people to watch, and shared all the updates. And this year, like, regardless of like any of their efforts on going live and things, nothing popped up in my feeds, and there was no like, they didn't send out, I didn't get any emails or anything, and I always get that stuff. I just thought like the PR this year was just really lacking.
Yeah, it was not there. It just wasn't there. Like, we spent a lot of time on the Winding Stairs Freemasonry group. Like, we're talking about thousands upon thousands of brothers that are visiting that group. Nobody posted anything about it. That's because they didn't know either. Otherwise, they would have shared something.
Yeah, so I did manage to catch a couple hours. I was working all weekend, but put it on in the evening just as some background noise. Watched a few shows, so is what it is. It was about the same as last year and the year before. But there's one group who did remember celebrating the craft, and that is an old favorite, the Past Bastard. Let me find this article. This Monday's article on the Past Bastard is that an Illinois Grand Lodge announces celebrating the craft, KRAFT. So apparently, what's this? Northfield, Illinois is the home of Kraft macaroni and cheese. So they are celebrating the Kraft macaroni and cheese.
So there's a quote in there that just had me absolutely dying. It talked about CTC being like a combo telethon and like rerun of the 700 Club. That killed me like all week this week so far. It's been hilarious.
So that's funny. Go check that out. Celebrating the craft, KRAFT. Awesome. Okay, that's about it for Masonic news this week. This is a topic that I wanted to cover, which is This Is How I Chisel. Now, for those who aren't familiar, there is a popular web blog zine called Lifehacker, and they occasionally have tech celebrities, I guess would be a good term, to come in and answer usually the same questions and want to know how they work. And it's entitled, This Is How I Work. So I thought it would be neat to take some of those questions and ask ourselves that for a couple reasons. One, I personally get asked a lot of questions of, you have 4 kids, you have a day job, you are high priest of your chapter, and you do the podcast, and blah, 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 blah. How do you get it all done? And, sometimes I have to stop and think, how do I get it all done? And hopefully you'll get a peek into some of my productivity techniques as we go through the show. Also, part of this could be applied to lodge as well. So if you are an officer of a lodge or maybe a worshipful master, think about how you can take some of these techniques that we talk about tonight to make your efficiency go up as far as how you run and operate anything Masonically. And it's not just for officers either. It's any productivity technique. If you want to learn your ritual faster, you may find some techniques tonight. I know Juan shares a common affinity toward self-improvement and productivity. So I'm sure he'll have plenty to share tonight. So as moderator, will go through each question and give each of us a short period of time to respond, and I'll keep things moving. So the first question, starting with Jason, one word that best describes how you work. Jason.
Decisively.
Juan.
Ambitiously.
RJ.
Consistency.
And myself, prioritized. You'll find out why as we go on to the next question. Let's see.
I'm actually gonna take back I said consistency. I don't know what I wrote in the Google Doc. It was a different word.
You wrote orderly, and therefore you're not consistent, but I'll take it.
Yep. It's orderly. Orderly is what I wanted to say.
You are orderly. A different question. Your current mobile device. Starting with Jason.
I'm back in the Stone Ages with an iPhone 6S.
Juan.
Wah, wah. Boom. Look at your face right there. You even see yourself in there. That's Inception. iPhone 7.
Wow, that's a big phone. Robert.
iPhone 7 Plus.
You got to one-up me.
Size matters.
Because I love you. I love you.
Of course, those who have listened for some period of time know I'm an Android guy. I've got an old Nexus 6, but it runs like a champ because I've ROM'd it, put on CyanogenMod, and I've got that thing tuned and tweaked. Next question. What is your current computer? Jason.
I use a MacBook Pro circa 2011, 2012.
Okay. Juan, the artist.
I have a Tandy 1000.
Nice.
No, I have a pair of HPs. In Spanish, HP stands for something else, but HPs. So I have a desktop and then I have a laptop, both same family, and they like mirror each other.
Very cool. Robert.
So I've got an iMac that I've upgraded like as much as I possibly can. That's from 2009. Who has no refurbs, and I've had no hard drive crashes or anything, and it's amazing, and it's still killing it. Before that, I used to use I built my own computer just for gaming, podcasting, online stuff, but that crashed too many times. So I went to the dark side and went Mac, and I also use a MacBook Pro that I bought in 2015.
Very cool. Let's see. As for me, my desktop that you're viewing right now is a home-built, hand-built system. It's a Intel 4 gigahertz, a ton of RAM, and just build it from scratch. But when I'm not here physically at my desk, I am using a Chromebook usually. I'm a Google fanboy, but unless I'm trying to do pivot tables, Chromebook's good enough. Okay, next question. How did you get to where you are today? Very open-ended question. Jason, start us off.
Oh, let's see. By one risk taken at a time.
Care
In
to
some
elaborate?
cases, multiple risks taken at a time. When I was thinking about how to answer this question, I took a look at where I am, you know, being a husband, a father, someone in my vocation, doing, you know, masonry as hard as we all do. I realized that I've deliberately put myself in a lot of very uncomfortable situations to help grow myself. And you know, those uncomfortable situations could be seen as different risks I've taken, different calculated decisions I've come to and made where the outcomes weren't necessarily apparent. And so really what I see myself as today is the product of these uncomfortable situations and these uncomfortable decisions that I've made to propel myself forward. You know, going on that first date, petitioning a lodge, throwing myself out there for the show, you know, things of that kind of nature. So it's really the risks that I've taken have led me to where I am today.
Very good. Juan?
I describe it as the 3 P's: perseverance, patience, and passion. And pretty much with anything I do in life, that's how I approach it. When I become interested in something, I begin working on it. And if you look at the way that I've developed my my artistic skill, it requires those 3 things. It requires that I am patient with all the mistakes that I make, and the learning process, the learning curve for fine art is very steep, and you only build upon little improvements. And if I was impatient, I wouldn't be able to paint, especially oil paints. That's just dumb how much patience it requires. So that's pretty much how I move. It's, you know, having the passion, perseverance, and patience, and that's what's brought me here.
Very good. Awesome.
From the bottom, now I'm here.
Awesome. Getting to learn you guys, know you guys even better based off these answers. This is great. Robert, how did you get to where you are today?
So I think I froze. Oh, there I am. All right. So consistency, that was the first answer I gave. Consistency is literally why I am where I am. It's not because I'm awesome, or it's not because I do a great job. It's because I consistently do an okay job. And nobody has, nobody's out there doing as consistent of a job other than TMR better than I am doing right now. Mm-hmm. So because of that, that's the only reason I am where I am. It's that I have, I consistently promise things, and I think the fear and the letdown that I've possibly let somebody else down keeps me, I guess, honest, you could say, and delivering results. So if somebody contacts me and asks me to do something, I will definitely do it if I can. And sometimes I don't even start to deliver that or work on it until a week before it's due, because I just take whatever. Yep, send it my way. I'll get it done. And what ends up happening is I usually deliver. It's usually great, right? Because I do my best work when I'm, I guess, kind of pushed for time. And just consistently doing that stuff, maintaining habits. That's basically it.
Awesome.
It is one of the things that I admire about you the most. Your consistency and your tenacity. I think that's something that is definitely admirable.
Thanks, man. Yeah, the consistency. It's like you can sit there and like of course I try to do better. You know, like sometimes I'll hear episodes of The Winding Stairs and go, damn, Juan killed it on that episode, because like the editing together with the music, it was like, why can't my stuff sound like NPR? You know? And like, so I look at, you know, anybody who's out there doing something, I'm like, how can I try to be that good? And I guess that's a part of it too, is that natural, but that's like an underlying natural thing that we all do, I think, is looking at what other people are doing and looking at their successes and saying, let me try that. Let me get a little bit outside my comfort zone.
Mhm.
And of course, but consistency overall.
I appreciate that. No, and that's really good. You know, Ken, I wanted to say something very quick. Today I was listening to Jeff Bezos talking about some of the way that they do business. And one thing that I like that he said is we could run our business in many different ways. And the way that we've chosen to is customer obsession. He said the way that we focus our work is to provide the best experience possible to our customers. Other companies, they do competitor obsession. So they are focused on their competitors and they're constantly trying to either one up their competition or follow really closely behind based on what they're doing. And he said, not that that's incorrect, but that's not how we do it. Like our focus is just to make sure that when we put something out, represents us correctly. And it gave me a lot of, you know, it paused me and I started thinking, yeah, my experience with Amazon has shown me that. It's like I order my stuff and my stuff gets here fast, you know, and their focus is, you know, to provide that satisfaction that the customer experience. So as long as we are doing that for our people, you know, we put together the content that we put, and our focus is not to be better than Maynard Edwards or be better than Eric Diamond. If our focus is to just provide what we know is going to satisfy our listeners, then we're good.
Yep. You know, I think that reminded me of a quote that is a summarization of an Aristotle quote, which says that we are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. Which brings me to my answer to how did I get to where I am today. I was originally going to put excellence, but you could kind of change it to integrity. Like Robert said, it's delivering on promises that I make. It's being true to the spirit even when no one's looking. So excellence plus timing plus networking. So I think there's a certain amount of quality you have to have. And excellent, as we just covered, excellence can be just habitual consistency of doing what you do best. Plus knowing people, right? Sometimes you have to have that right person who you know to help you open that door. And even that door can only be open at certain times. So there is a little bit of dumb luck that goes with the successes of the outliers like Bill Gates and others in Silicon Valley, for example. So it's really the trifecta there of excellence plus timing plus networking can really help put you in good positions. Next question. What apps, software, or tools can't you live without? Jason.
So for me, this may seem a little banal, but I can't really live without Facebook Messenger or really anything in the Google suite. They are my daily, hourly productivity and communication tools, specifically for stuff regarding Masonry and the show in particular, and reaching out to fans.
Very cool. Juan.
Here's another thing that you and I have an affinity for. Trello is an application that I absolutely love. It helps me to keep my stuff organized, keep my stuff in order, keep my priorities straight. Is the way that I can keep the loud monkeys in my head from taking full control. So Trello is number one. And one quick tip that I want to share related to this is, if you have like a shopping list or a list of repetitive tasks, like let's say you're going to lodge tonight, and you know that you have to shave, iron your clothes, shower, feed the cat, and put the stuff that your lady asks you to put in the oven. You have those 5 things to do. Don't put that in your to-do list. Like, that's dumb stuff that shouldn't go in your task list. You can have just like a throwaway list for that. And in your task list, which you would use perhaps Trello or some other application, even a notebook, that's where you keep the important stuff. So what I have for those dumb lists is it's called Clear. Do you guys know about it? I freaking love this thing. And the user interface is the absolute best. And I'm going to show it to you very quick, just so that you understand. This is how I shop when I go to the supermarket. Here. You hear that beeping?
I do.
All right, here you go. This is my, tell me if it's in focus. Here's
good.
My list of groceries. And I organize them based on how I'm going to find them in the store. So as I go through, I swipe them and I get a audible reward and stuff. If I'm never going to buy that again, I just delete it and it's gone. If I want to add something in between these two, I expand it and I type whatever. And it is super, it's such a smooth thing. I don't want to use anything else. And that's how I go in the store. So in summary, Trello and Clear. Those are my 2 go-to apps.
Very cool. Robert.
Man, I got to go with Jason on the Messenger. I love Google Calendar because I try to keep things organized for the district by adding everything into one district calendar that they access, an agenda view on the website. That works really well. I love the throwaway to-do list. However, I guess the issue is I don't use an app for it. I try to use reminders on my phone, and I guess I'm just not that great at it. I'm reminded of Gene Simmons wrote a book many years ago, and he said every day he starts his day with a to-do list, and it's like Juan pointed out, it's a throwaway to-do list. I take that list and I write everything down I got to get done on it, whether it's small, whether it's big, it doesn't matter. It all goes on there, and it goes in no particular order. It goes in the order that I am thinking about it. And every day I rewrite the same list, because whatever I didn't accomplish today goes on the list tomorrow. And then every morning when I redo my list, I rip the old sheet off and throw it away, and everything on there from yesterday is on the new list. And I just do that every day. So it's pen and paper. It's not even an app. So kind of a cheat there. I tried to stay organized on a whiteboard some years ago. You can see it usually when I'm in my home office. You can see my whiteboard, and things don't usually change other than a presentation that I've got to do here or there. But really, Gene Simmons said in his book, if you got everything done on your to-do list, there wasn't enough on it. And that always stuck with me. So I just write down everything I got to do, whether it's fix an action figure my son broke or write the presentation. So those 2 things. And I guess the other thing I just can't live without is Excel. Sorry, Google numbers or whatever you're called. It just doesn't have the same functionality. I need Excel, and I love it. So that's it.
Awesome.
Oh, also Power BI. Amazing.
Even better.
Yeah.
Cool. Let's see. As for me, I'm also a Trello fan. For one, I've got Trello groups for TMR. I've got Trello groups for family events, and so forth. So if you haven't checked it out, go check it out, Trello.com, and anything Google. Basically, I'm all into the Google ecosystem, more especially that I can get an information in an email and it automatically asks me if I want to put that detail into my calendar, right? So if someone says, hey, you good to meet up Tuesday at 10, it'll already set me up. So if I just say yes, it will add it to my calendar.
Hey, John, didn't Trello just get like bought out by Atlassian?
They did. Yes. So for those,
so any of you productivity or acquisition types, the makers of Jira, which some of us know, love, and despise, all at the same time, ended up buying out Trello.
true story. Yeah. And they said they're not going to change it. They're not going to make it a big corporate app now. It's going to be its own little team. So yeah. So we know it's not going away. It has money now. So that's good.
Just may have to pay for it in the future.
They'll never. It's I think it's the first hit is free. That's what they're going to keep it as. Oh, but if you want more, we'll sell you Jira. Next question. What's your workplace setup like? Jason.
All right. So let's see. My workplace is pretty simple. So if we look at the awesome computer here, I've got
scenes. Look at this.
Yeah, I've got the Pro Effects mixer. I've got the computer, the lighting umbrellas, and the desk. And this is really my setup. I just try to keep it as consolidated as possible, and I try to keep things just to this area and this desk. And when I don't have my computer on the desk, I usually have a desktop ironing board because I'm usually ironing my shirts for work every morning. That's my setup.
Instead of an iMac, you have an iRun.
Har.
Juan, what's your setup like?
All right. Well, I'm not showing you, but
Thank you. Me.
if you are invited to the Sepulveda estate.
Wait, I forgot to show you the best part. The wall of
Oh, I saw that.
yeah, the drum set and the wall of guitars. All right. Back to your boring setup, Juan.
Yeah. If you have the privilege of being invited to the Sepulveda estates, you'll get the personal tour of the studio. So I'm currently in my art studio. So I have a separate room from the house. It's almost 300 square feet. And it goes from art storage to work table to my, this is my, I don't know what to call it, my recording area. And then I have a drafts table and books. And right above here, I have a shelf with books. There's a waterfall. I'm kidding, no waterfall. I have my professional lighting. I have a sound treatment on the wall. So I have some of this. I can't show it. The kind of
The padding, right? Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I have stuff on the wall to have better sound. And that's it. And one cool thing I wanted to share with you is like you've probably seen in the backdrop if you're watching on YouTube. If not, after you listen to the podcast, go check it out on YouTube. I have a whiteboard right there. Usually what you see is the painting that covers it. So I have a painting that covers my whiteboard when I'm not using it. And that's where I do some planning and, plan my week and what have you. But that's it. And then I, of course, I have my desk with my microphone and all my stuff. It's relatively organized. I can't complain.
So having been a guest in the Sepulveda estate, it is above and beyond your wildest imagination of the amount of awesomeness and creativity that happens there. So I'm going to let you use your imagination for those listening. Robert, what's your workspace setup like?
So it's you're seeing it. I have this awesome dome light in my Jeep. It's a nice faux leather steering wheel, custom seat belts made back in '09 when the Jeep was manufactured. It's it's my home office where you can usually see all my books and my goofy Masonic swag in the background. Like I got a longboard and my rugby ball, and it's just kind of my quiet space in the house. My wife said, "Yeah, you can have an office, cool." And then we had a daughter, and she's like, "You still need that office?" And I was like, "Yeah, I need that office." She's like, "Well, we're moving you to the basement." I said, "No, you're not." And so I'm still upstairs, which is great. I don't know why she hasn't kicked me out. The home office is again, I just use an iMac that's a desktop from '09. I do use a pro mixer board by Behringer, and I use the same studio lighting that Jason has. Only mine I've had for many years, and it's on its second purpose. In a former life, I was a professional wedding photographer, pulling in the big bucks. And I think that's really it. The mics I use, I do use a pro condenser mic, which is sensitive to water. And I don't have all my guitars on the wall like Jason does, but I wish it did. That's it.
Coolio. Thanks, Robert. Let's see, both here and at my usual vocation, some of the parallels. I do have dual monitors to make sure that I can switch back and forth. Headphones are a must to remove distractions. I do have skulls in both locations to make sure that there's consistency in the atmosphere. But here, also, I'm running my mixer of the Xenix 1202 FX mixer. So check that out. It seems to be working pretty well ever since I had those USB microphone issues. Okay, next question. What is your best time-saving shortcut or hack? One. Actually, no, let's go back to Jason again. What's your best time-saving shortcut or life hack?
So I had a hard time with this one. Because I tend to jump into things fully, and I don't have a lot of free time because a lot of times I don't cut corners to save time. But I did realize there is one thing in particular that I do that my wife ridicules me for on a weekly basis. And what I do is, for TV shows that I don't really have an interest in watching, but everybody in the office is talking about them, specifically The Walking Dead and Game of Thrones, I read the episode summaries in Wikipedia, so episode by episode, so that I can talk coherently about the subject at work without having to waste my time or devote my time to watching the actual episodes.
That's a really good idea.
Yeah.
My wife hates that I do it. I'm like,
What is
look,
it?
I knew what everybody was talking about when they were like, "Oh, that Negan." I mean, no, I get it.
I cannot believe you said that word in the.
I am Negan.
Yeah, this here's Lucille. Okay, great.
Wow, that's awesome. I'm going to start doing that. Juan, what's your best time-saving shortcut?
I have so many questions for Jason right now, though. We do have to talk about our TV viewing patterns, because that I just got super distracted by that. Anyway, the one that I wrote down is how did I write it here? Oh, don't talk on the phone while sitting. There are tasks that don't require your full attention. Like, for example, putting the dishes away or, you know, picking up stuff around the house. One of the time saving things that I do is I combine that with other things. So instead of listening to music, I listen to podcasts, I listen to audiobooks. Sometimes I listen to things I've recorded that I need to review. And I'll get on the phone. I don't answer the phone for hardly anybody. So I just choose moments in which I am, let's say where I'm working on the dishes, I'll call my dad. If I am fixing something outside, I'll call somebody else. So don't sit down to talk on the phone. Like I think it's a waste of time. Like you could be polishing your shoes, or you could, do something else. So that's one thing that I save a lot of time because I just don't.
So you multitask while you talk on the phone.
Yeah.
So it's not the mere fact of doing something else to speed up the conversation. It's just the fact of standing still while being on the phone is counterproductive in your mind.
Yeah. And I don't like rushing people. Like, for example, I don't speak with my brother all the time. So I don't want to, try to cut him short or just be fast in the conversation. Let's talk for as long as you want. And I'll fold clothes. I'll do the dishes. I'll empty stuff from the fridge. I'll do all kinds of stuff that don't require me to be, thinking hard. So I do that. So people get my attention and I get it's done.
Okay. Robert, what is your best time-saving shortcut or life hack?
So I guess mine would just be that I don't usually watch TV before 11 p.m. and I don't watch anything that has a storyline that has continuity in it. So if there's a risk there of me getting caught up in something. So like I used to just buy seasons of shows and all my friends would ask, like, oh, you haven't seen it? And it's like, nope. Well, can I tell you about it? Yeah, you can tell me about it. I'll still watch it. Like, I don't really care if you're going to spoil it or not. But the issue becomes, will I sit there and binge watch the whole thing? When I was 18 years old, man, I loved Stargate SG-1. And so, like, I would buy those seasons and just watch the whole thing over a weekend. The problem is that, I'm an adult and I've got 4 kids and I have a job and I have masonry and I've got like 5 million jobs within the craft. I don't really have a lot of time for that. So multitasking is huge, but the biggest time saver really is just not giving a crap about what's on TV. And I do realize there is kind of that participation factor at work when everyone wants to talk about shows. I guess I'm just the odd duck who's like, yeah, I don't know anything about that. Next song.
Why you fake it?
I'll defer you back to what Jason said while you were transitioning. Just go read the Wikipedia article.
Yeah, I don't even have time for that, man. Like if I'm not gonna read something and learn it and improve like actual real life, I don't have time for it.
Yep.
Like that's just kind of my deal. And I just don't see an intrinsic value for that kind of stuff in my life. I used to be watching tons of TV and I love going to movies and stuff. And now that's like such a treat, is being able to go to the movies with my kids or with my wife or my mom or whoever. But the issue becomes that's still like a really special thing. I took my kids to the movies the other day and it was like $75 to go to the movies. I was like, wow, that's crazy. But then I also think like, oh, well, it happened. It's it's a treat, right? Kind of like how we always want to say soda is a treat. It's a once in a while thing. But yeah, I feel like just cutting out the needless entertainment is, it's the reason why they call it the boob tube. It's just, it's you just sit there and you pay attention to whatever's happening and it doesn't really matter what it is. Educational shows are different, right? So like if you watch Nova or you watch
Doctor Who, very educational.
Definitely, I would say, well, at least in science fiction, there's the inherent.
Sure. I think we lost our
scientific solutions. Sure, I'll give you that mostly because I don't know if you can tell, Star Trek all day long.
Trekkie. All right, good stuff. Moving along. Yeah, I'm really excited to share this one. This has been a game changer for me. One life hack that I have is I do work in an open collaborative environment, and so distractions are horrible. And so, again, when I mentioned earlier that I have to have headphones at work when I need to go down and just go focus and get in the zone on something, throw the headphones on, and I use this thing called the Pomodoro technique. Pomodoro being another name for a tomato, and it came from someone actually used a tomato timer for kitchens, and came up with this concept of where just focus on a task for 25 minutes. Everybody can just focus on something for 25 minutes, and then you get a break. And so you give yourself a break for 5 minutes after that. 25 minutes on, 5 minutes off. 25 minutes on, 5 minutes off. And after 4 of those, take 15 minutes. And it's all backed in science. And one of the best tools is a website called Marinara Timer, right? Marinara being a spinoff of using tomatoes. And if you just go ahead and hit the big Pomodoro button, it will start a timer, big font, and just start counting down 25 minutes. And then we'll play a sound of your choosing. So when the bell goes off on your headphones, you know to stand up, go take a walk, go clear your head, go take a break. And this thing has been immensely helpful for, for my personal commitment that I can work on a task for 25 minutes at a time, and I know there's a break coming. The clock's right there in front of me, and it's produced amazing results because it breaks it up just enough that I can push through some hard problems, and I know there's a break coming, and the productivity has been amazing. So if you guys haven't heard of the Pomodoro technique, go Google it. It'll change your life.
And for those who are using Microsoft products, there is a free app called Focus. It's what I use because I also practice the Pomodoro technique, and I use it. I use that timer with my children too. So right now we have a bartering system where they give me productive school time in the computer, and I give them time in the iPad. So they do a similar thing. They do 25-minute work in the computer. So they go to Focus, put 25 minutes, set the timer to go in 25 minutes. When they're done, then they can take a break, and then they've earned 25 minutes to play on the iPad.
Very cool. I like that. That's a great idea to use it for the kids as well.
Working really, really, really well for me right now.
Okay, next question. I'm going to skip ahead for those of you guys following on the Google Doc. What everyday thing are you better at than everyone else? And what's your secret? Jason, what are you better at than everybody else? And what's your secret?
I've got really great short-term memory with the ability to rapidly ingest large amounts of data, provided I go through a certain technique and method to do so that I can recall relatively quickly for a short period of time. I use this greatly to my advantage all throughout college as a history major, because that's how I would study for the exams. So I would just basically go through the lecture notes and the books and just condense everything down into 3 to 5 sheets of handwritten notes, and I would just go over those notes over the course of maybe 4 or 5 hours the day of the exam. So I had done a good bit of prep work for it, but when it came down to the memorization and recall, I just hit it hard for 4 to 5 hours, and at that point, I could pretty much recall just about anything I needed from the lectures and from the books for that exam. And then after the exam, I just went ahead and expunged it from my memory. So for catechism I've been blessed to be really good at memorizing things mouth to ear, as well as things that are written down. And for catechism, it's specifically because I can recall cadences, and different words, different inflections, different intonations have different drum beats and patterns, aural patterns associated with them. So for me, if I can't necessarily remember a word or a set of words, I can remember how it's supposed to sound and the cadence of the phrase, and that's what I attribute to my ritualistic proficiency. Just the ability to remember those cadences and fill those things in with the Masonic word du jour from my brain.
And I can confirm Jason has a huge brain for ritual. So you should listen to this guy memorize something. It's amazing. Okay, Juan, what everyday thing are you better at than everyone else?
This is a very difficult one for me to point out. However, I recently asked some people very close to me a similar question. I asked them what were some of the best traits that I had, or the best qualities that I had, and some of the worst. So in summary, I'm even hesitant to say it. I'm often secretive about my advantage over others, but one thing that I can share is that I have a very good mix of aesthetics and practicality. So I can take something that from concept to completion and do a good job at, how can I say, the practical side of it, as well as how it looks. Recently, I saw somebody who was claiming to be an expert in a field, and I don't doubt that he is, but the way everything looked, it looked like garbage. So I think I have an advantage over him because I can put together this and make it look good. I think that's as far as I'm gonna go without revealing too many.
Also the best at being coy and subversive. So
Yes.
on purpose.
And circumspect.
Yes. And what?
Robert, what are you the best at?
Did I lose you guys? Or no, I hear you.
Oh,
I guess I'm pretty good with memory, but I'm not the same way Jason is, in that my memory is solely based on reading it and memorizing it the way it is. I can almost like recall a page. I can recite memory work, and I can tell you page now, and it's in the upper left, or where it is on the page. That's kind of how my mind works. It's not something that I never worked on it. It's just the way my brain is. So I don't know if it's better than anybody else, but I'm pretty good at it. I would say the one thing I guess I have on a lot of folks is, and John, I know you were talking about how people say, how do you get all this stuff done? How do you do all this stuff? It's the same with many of us, myself included. It's essentially the ability to, somebody will say, hey, we should have a website for that. All right, yeah, I'll have it up in 20 minutes. I basically can put it here, and I really just do it at things. And they're like, well, don't worry about the what ifs. Get it done. We'll worry about it later. And that's kind of how I do a lot of stuff. Don't care about like triage or the idea that something has to come before something else. Like on my to-do list, I just go to the top thing. I don't care what it is. It's like, oh, your dues notices. And then the second thing might be glue the action figure back together. Well, dues notices are first. Quick thing, I'll do that first or whatever. But just execution of ideas, man. Just getting things done.
Very cool. As for me, the everyday thing that I'm better at than everyone else, I would guess that would be I can learn things very quickly. I'm able to quickly absorb various sources of information, synthesize it, and codify it such that I can then use it immediately or teach it to someone else. And that's something I recently learned about myself. And I guess my secret is that Google works, right? I do have pretty good Google foo in the sense that I don't give up after the first, search result. I will dig through, and I personally have the belief that anything can be found if you look hard enough and try different search terms and queries and deep web searches. So I think one thing that I do better than most is to quickly find, the 80% answer and be able to synthesize it and apply it to the task at hand. So if I need to learn something quickly for work, or if I need to, someone says, "Hey, I need you to present something, next week at a lodge event." Great, count on me, because I get energized by the thrill of the hunt to find and learn and synthesize information. So that's just my own personal just-in-time learning expertise. Given the time, I think we'll end on one final question, and this is your last go around, so there's no final thoughts, but I think you can make it your final thought with this last question. What's the best advice that you've ever received? Jason, take us home.
You're going to have to come back to me on that one.
Okay, good. Juan, what is the best advice you've ever received?
My father would often say, "De los cobardes no se ha escrito nada." Grammatically is incorrect, but it's how the expression goes. "De los cobardes no se ha escrito nada," or "nothing's been written of cowards." So he would say that so that I would muster the courage to dream big and do bold things and not be afraid. So anytime I've had any doubts about anything I've embarked, I remember him saying that nothing's been written of cowards. So do something worth writing about.
Beautiful. All right, thank you, Juan. Robert, what's the best advice you've ever received?
The best advice I ever received was actually, many of you have received this advice too, and it really depends on what you've done with it and if you understood it to be what it was. In the mid to late 80s and into the 90s, always the advice, it was the same 3 words just repeated all the time at the end of a commercial. It's just do it. Nike gave me the advice, when I was 7 years old. Just do it. My whole life, it is just do it. If somebody says it's impossible, you can't just something and make it happen in 24 hours. Yeah, you can. Just do it. It doesn't really. It applies to everything, and you can just do it. That's it, man.
Awesome. Thank you very much for sharing. Jason, how about you?
So some of the best advice that I've ever received has been to, whenever possible, always try to take the high road. There are so many situations in life, in work, plenty of situations I had to deal with today at work, where I had the opportunity to be less than my best in responding to difficult personalities and difficult situations and very, politically charged situations. And there's a lot to be said for obtaining and retaining the moral high ground and trying to just be a very classy person, and a very respected person in the workplace and in your life beyond that. The respect is something that takes a long time to build up and takes an instant to lose. But if you are focused on always trying to be the best person you can and always taking the high road as much as you possibly can, and it goes a long way toward both the attainment and retainment of that professional and personal respect on the part of those who know you and those around you.
Awesome. Thank you, Jason. Finally, as for me, the best advice I've ever received was in a quote that is summarized as, "Today is the first day of the rest of your life." And I personally apply that as, you can't change the past, but what you do from right now going forward, you have total control over. And so make it awesome. Don't blame your past. Don't make excuses. Today is the first day of the rest of your life, and you have control over where you're going, where you're headed. The decisions you made in the past are just that. So take that, learn from that. Don't be the person, you have, another paraphrase of that is, you are under no obligation to be the person you were 5 minutes ago. So take that, go be awesome. And for you, the listeners, thank you very much for watching, and keep searching for more light. Have a good night.